What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Yard G2A Festival. This is going to be a continuation of a best of three that was played a couple of days ago between Clovers and Lepricon and Moscow 5. There was some extenuating circumstances, but here we are again. Moscow 5 do have a one-game advantage, so yeah, that hopefully is not going to have any more problems with DDoS or anything like that, but for right now, I'm Mikelorus, one of your casters. I'm going to be joined by MoreRagePlz for, I guess, maybe this best of three. But either way, hope it's going to go well. How are you doing today, dude?
Doing well. Interested to see how Clover and Lepricon do today. I've watched some of their stuff recently, namely the best of three versus 4 ASC a couple of days ago. They look decently impressive for a team that's kind of been thrown together recently. I'm sure they've been scrimming. But either way, excited to cast them. They're going to open up with the Lina here. Interestingly enough, they'll ban out the Phoenix, and that's going to open up M5 for the IO Tiny.
Alright, so this is a pretty solid way to start. If you get your hands on the IO, you're probably going to grab a Tiny straight after that. The chances of me seeing 3 CKs in a day, I guess it's not going to happen, at least not yet. But looking at the bans really quickly, it seems like Clovers a little bit scared about Moscow 5's ability to dive in. It's not really going to help them these bans since Moscow 5 will still have the ability to dive in. Sniper having been banned out as well as the Troll, and well, I mean, this is more or less standard bans from the Moscow 5 side, but for Clovers, Mag effectively ban out from the Moscow 5 side, but is also going to force a lot of extra bans out from Moscow 5. Juggernaut and then probably Slark.
Yeah, certainly they've already taken out a lot of this meta in the Sniper, Troll, and Jug. A little bit of a wombo combo being assembled by 4C and L right now. Lina plus the Magnus can do a lot of work, especially into two heroes that are generally going to be seen in close proximity in the IO Tiny. So a lot of BKB piercing as well. Tiny, pretty natural BKB builder, usually a couple items up before it in the Ags and the Manta, but either way, looking pretty good for 4C and L. A little bit of pure damage going to be added to the side of M5, so presumably this will be a safe lane Queen of Pain unless they put the IO in the safe lane try, which is a little bit weak early on, so interesting to see how they lane this.
Yeah, it will depend, of course, on what Clovers are going to put on their off lane. Could be this Mag, could very well be someone else, but IO Tiny Lion is a very common defensive tri lane that we see. The Lion Tiny, very powerful, just the two of them. It kind of makes up for the fact that IO in the lane is going to be one of your weaker links. So that is something that Moscow 5 can go for, since Lion's still in the pool, though for Clovers might be taking that out for themselves. They're still going to be looking for a combination to run with this Magnus. And even though Juggernaut, Slark, Troll, Warlord, probably your top 3 picks as far as Empower combos are concerned, any melee hero can do it, honestly, and even some range heroes can do it. Medusa is a viable pick right now for Clovers, maybe a little bit later, but they can also grab a Phantom Assassin if they want to. They have a lot of options as far as how they want to ramp up that carry hero.
Yeah, the cleave would certainly be nice. I mean, Empower is great, of course, with melee cores, but it's not bad to have the extra damage on some of the ranged carries. Bristleback is going to be picked up for now. It'll be interesting to see if they take that towards the offlane or if BZZ picks that up. If not, there's still a Clinks in the pool, and although it's very scary into a Tiny combo, the Orchid is really nice up against both the IO and the Queen of Pain. So look for it maybe as a possibility for BZZ here, but not probably the best situation for it. Either way, they're going to pick up a very tanky frontliner. It's going to add to their physical damage, which they were lacking a bit of before. And of course, all the movement available to the Lina and Magnus is going to help out the Bristleback with presumably that Yules and the Blink builds from those two respectively. So I don't mind the Bristle pick here at all. Him being able to turn his back into relocates also is pretty damn crucial for their ability to assemble around him and mount a defense against that global presence of M5.
And early on, the Bristleback is a pretty decent hero at actually killing off the IO Tiny. Very low base armor on the two of those heroes, and Bristleback's damage will stack up. If the Empower is going to be put on Bristleback, which at a certain point in this game it will be, then this Bristleback is also going to be hitting very, very hard towards like the Queen of Pain and IO. Tiny's craggy exterior going to keep him a little bit safer than the rest of the heroes, but even then the damage is so high coming out from these 3 heroes of Clovers that this Tiny, even though he will get a little bit of protection, it's not going to be up all the time. What do you think the chances of us looking at right now for Clovers three core heroes, like Magnus offlane or Bristleback offlane, Lina mid, Mag mid, or something like that. Do you think these are the three cores?
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, I guess the largest question is whether or not Lina ends up in a core role. I kind of had the hunch that Bristleback was going to go mid versus this dual lane of M5. So in that sense, maybe I expect the Lina to be a support, just because, as you mentioned, Bristle is a pretty good to deal with them early on. It is going to be a little bit tough for him to LH, though, underneath that Avatos combo. So maybe they run a dual lane of their own mid, and that allows the Lina to take up the safe lane and put Magnus over in the off lane. To have a quick pause there, hopefully. Yeah, some reconnects.
Oh.
But either way.
I did not even notice that. Everyone's just leaving and... Okay, well, we're back on track, so nothing happened, guys. Everything's fine. Disruptor's going to be the pick here for Moscow 5. I mean, it's okay, I suppose, versus Magnus. Putting up barriers to protect your heroes up against the charging in Bristleback. Certainly very nice, but I do think that this is probably more of a ban pick more than anything else coming out for Moscow 5. Disruptor, great versus Queen of Pain. Static Storm comes out pretty darn quickly and can even shut down Queen of Pain mid-blink. And of course, versus the IO Tiny, being able to send one of those heroes back and deal with the other one is invaluable. So it's a little bit more of a defensive pick here for Moscow 5. But really, I don't think they are going to get punished by this too much. Disruptor IO, perhaps a little bit of a weaker support combination. But the cores of Tiny, Queen of Pain more than make up for that damage output.
Yeah, you touched upon it, and I think this is going to solidify for CNL that there is going to be a dual lane mid. If they put a Disruptor IO up in the tri-lane with the Tiny, it's certainly punishable for 4Clovers and Leprechaun. So I expect that to be the dual lane mid. That means Queen of Pain either going to be in a safe lane or an off lane role. So it'll be interesting to see how Moscow 5 decides to put this fifth pick through, because Queen of Pain off lane for my taste is pretty underwhelming. She doesn't really find enough farm to continue and start snowballing. So it'll be interesting to see how they opt to go for this 5 pick, because they don't scale extremely well thus far if they're not going to pick up somewhat of an HC in this last pick. So if Queen of Pain does take up that safe lane, I feel like they are on a bit of a timer, especially with the Empower and now the Bloodlust over to the side of 4CNL.
Yeah, and they're just going to Voltron up this Bristleback at the very least. Ogre Magi Lina also very, very dangerous support combination. One stun into another stun. Lots of fire damage, so extra synergy points for 4Clovers. But, you know, when you have double stuns, the likes of Queen of Pain, they're very, very vulnerable, and the Disruptor IO even more so. They have, you know, an okay amount of damage to deal with this Ogre Magi, but the supports are kind of damage light. And Ogre Magi, just being so tanky, is going to be able to shrug off most of the harassment damage that he gets and just charge right in the front lines. And Bristleback probably the exact same. So for 4Clovers, if they do run this Ogre Magi Lina as a support combination, put the Magnus mid Bristleback offlane, they are still potentially looking at someone else that they could empower and Bloodlust just to go ham all over Moscow 5. And their lanes are still strong enough that they're not really going to be hugely crushed and punished because they've gone for this very melee heavy, pretty greedy lineup. It is possible that Moscow 5 grab the final core hero, and that is a hero that can very easily punish that, but towards the off lane, probably like Clockwork is your best bet at punishing that, maybe a Centaur. But yeah, the pool for Moscow 5 to really punish a really aggressive melee-heavy draft from 4Clovers is not that wide right now.
Yeah, certainly so, and there is variability, as you mentioned, on 4Clovers and Leprechaun side. They can definitely put the Lina in a core role, but I don't feel like they'll be punished at all putting her in a support role, especially considering how weak the duo is of the Disruptor IO for M5. I feel like a lot of this game is going to come down to the laning stage. 4CNL can get a lot more aggressive on paper than Moscow 5 can, and if they are able to bring them down early, of course, the Tiny has a propensity to pick up that Ags and continue farming and accelerate his farm back up into relevance. But Queen of Pain, historically a hero that without a good start is not going to be extremely effective throughout the mid game. So if they're able to punish them, should be boding well for 4CNL's chances to take this to a third game. You mentioned a pretty limited pool coming out for M5, and we mentioned that they are going to be somewhat on a mid-game timer here, and they are going to pick up the Beastmaster, probably for the off lane here. It's going to give them a little bit of extra vision for the relocate, so some good synergy there, a little extra physical damage as well, but that single target stun is probably going to be what's most valuable to them at this point. But sure, as mentioned before, it's not going to help them scale extremely well, although the Wild Axes will help them bring Roshan down pretty quickly.
And also that Hawk Vision, not only important for relocate ganks, but also crucial for Disruptor glimpses. Like, the vision of that is broken. It's usually the range that's the limiting factor for the Disruptor. Beastmaster, a hero that is freely able to provide that, is going to give the Disruptor a lot more of an easy time. Glimpse someone right back into an Avatos combo. Bristleback may survive if he has his back turned at that particular moment, but you know, everyone else on 4 Clovers, even though Ogre Magi really tanky, he's not going to be able to survive that combination, at least not consistently. So it's a pretty nice utility pick here for Moscow 5, as 4 Clovers do grab up an Enigma. This is going to signal pretty heavily that Lina is going to go towards most likely mid as a core hero. As Enigma, we have been seeing perhaps a little bit more Enigma in the off lane, mostly because he can, if necessary, go into the jungle. But most of the time, it's safe to assume that when there's Enigma, he's going to be starting out and staying in the jungle for the most part of the game. So that's a pretty okay pick for CNL, and really they just need a little bit more control right now, just so that they can let this Bristleback get steroided up by everything and then just go off on Moscow 5. At least that's the plan for 4 Clovers.
Yeah, and it's not a bad one at all. They are going to put Hani in the mid lane, so it is going to be him up against the dual lane of the Tiny IO, and I don't mind that decision at all. I feel like the Enigma pick's a bit greedy from them, but with the weak lanes from M5, they shouldn't be punished too heavily for it, and therefore it probably will see this affair go at least somewhere around 35-minute mark, so it should be an interesting one. We'll see if Sexy Bamboo is able to get traction under his heels. His levels for him will be very important to buff up the Bristle.
And well, it looks like levels when you are an offlane mag, that's going to be a lot more difficult, but Sexy Bamboo is geared up for mid right now, and Hani, he is just going to go towards the top lane. So safe lane farming Bristleback, he is the one position core farmer for CNL. And Bamboo over in the mid lane, well, he's not going to have the best of times versus an IO Tiny combo, but if it is a Queen of Pain, well, he's still not going to have a good time, but it'll maybe be a slightly better. Mag is very clearly going to try to rush for bottle as fast as he can, so if he gets this boundary rune, that will be huge. Likewise for Bignum, he wants it so badly. This bottom rune is going to be heavily contested, but Ogre Magi is a hero you don't want to mess with, level 1. So Bamboo is guaranteed a bounty rune. He will grab that, as will the Bristleback, but Bamboo's also dropping really low. Skew up to the high ground, keep him safe, but Lina, maybe not as lucky. Slander took Thunderstrike level 1. They close in for the Shadow Strike. BZZ now in a lot of trouble. LSA is available, but the Avalanche is going to slow her down. LSA onto 2 is enough, but the IO Queen of Pain will get this kill. It'll be Queen of Pain's Shadow Strike, I believe, to get the last hit. And that will be first blood for Moscow 5. Even though 4 Clovers do get both bounty runes, the first blood kind of balances that one out. Maybe even a little bit of advantage for Moscow 5.
Yeah, the assist gold to the IO is going to give him an early bottle as well, so it's almost as if he picked up the bounty rune. 700 gold going to tick out to him now, instant bottle out to that mid lane. Nice first blood gold going the way of the Queen of Pain as well. 500 in her pocket. It's going to be that safe lane, dual lane for the Radiant side for the time being. Looks like an aggressive duel as well coming out from 4CNL.
And up towards top, Hani, as the Bristleback is going to be going toe-to-toe versus the Beastmaster. I just realized we did not introduce any of these players, so I'm just going to run through that really quickly for the Moscow 5 side. Tron is going to be playing the off-lane Beastmaster solo. We got the combo Bignum ZXC on the IO Tiny in mid, and then bottom lane it's Slender's Disruptor and new player Axmo's Queen of Pain.
Yeah, for the side of 4CNL, we got Gold Black picking up the Ogre Magi, BZZ on the Lina. That leaves Sexy Bamboo up against the dual lane on the Magnus. Yol going to be in the jungle on the Enigma. And finally, as you've touched upon already, Hani picking up that one position, Bristleback in the safe lane.
And in a 1v1 melee matchup, Bristleback has some bad matchups. Up against an Axe, things get pretty bad, but up against a Beastmaster, this is a pretty nice lane for the Bristle. Yeah, Beastmaster is fairly tanky, but he's not this tanky. Taking an absolute beating from Hani, and the Boar with only 15 damage right now is almost completely irrelevant in this lane. So expect Hani to lead the Beastmaster at some point and even go for some kills, or at least try to go for some kills. Beastmaster, in the meantime, cannot do the same. So this top lane is more or less on lockdown for the 4 Clovers side, and this is going to mean that Yol can play the jungle as slowly as he wants. He could farm up that Soul Ring, get the mechanism, hell, even grab a Blink Dagger before he actually has to rotate around.
Yeah, it's going to give them a lot of space having this IO early on, makes their lanes a little bit weak. So yeah, look for Yol to have a lot of CS here. Probably that early mechanism, as you mentioned, up against the relocate. But the Blink also very nice for the black hole into that. So it'll be interesting to see what he chooses up against. Bamboo doing well thus far mid lane. 7 last hits to his name up against the 7 currently of the Tiny. So Bamboa with that shockwave has been able to last hit pretty effectively, is crowing back his bottle. So keeping that regen up with the tether move speed more often than not, M5 are going to be able to secure these runes.
And of course, being on the Radiant side, Moscow 5 are also working with a lot of stacks in their jungle. So even though Tron maybe will have a difficult time versus this Bristleback, he'll take a lot of harassment. He can, if needed, go into the jungle, although, you know, ZXE probably is going to get priority there. Beastmaster can also clear out these stacks if Moscow 5, for whatever reason, start going off with their Tiny and don't need that extra acceleration if they want to get a faster roar or something like that, then they will be fine to make that play. Tron is actually separated from his side of the map. Hani's still with no points in Goo just yet, so he's not going to play this lane super aggressively, but down towards bottom, looks like there's a little bit of man fight. BZZ dropping low. He will be brought down by Axmo, now trying to go for the Ogre Magi. This dude's tanky,
no blink.
But new player still has stick charges, and he's going to turn out for Fire Blast. That's not going to work. He was just taking one too many shots. It's a 3-0 lead for Moscow 5 right now, and Axmo on his Queen of Pain. That's a dangerous partnership with the player, and well, getting off to a 2-0-1 start, Axmo is looking to snowball pretty heavily in this game.
Yeah, and maybe this is the fruits of that Enigma pick. Paying off for M5 here, allowing the Queen of Pain to have an early start is certainly not ideal for the Dire side. But either way, maybe a little bit of tentativeness from Gold Black there. If he continues to man fight, he may pick that up. Although the Scream of Pain mana did come up before the Cop there, and she was able to nuke him down. So nicely played by this Radiant safe lane thus far. Slander hasn't even left lane to pull. Always been present and has been working out.
You would expect this lane to be probably going a little bit better for 4 Clovers. Like Lina Ogre Magi, I already mentioned how powerful combo that is. BZZ gonna get glimpsed back very short, however. They will land the double stun onto the Queen of Pain, but she's gonna Shadow Strike BZZ. Still on the run, however, does have bottle charges, will be brought down. Slander probably gonna make this even though. BZZ still fighting to death. LSA is there. Slander will draw the kill, or no, Axmo will, but they do end up losing 2. Queen of Pain is very vulnerable in these situations, and she is, although doing very well, still a pretty easy kill for the double stun combo of the 4 Clovers side. So this time, the trade goes in favor of the Dire, but who knows what's going to happen next time. This is a very, very volatile lane that depends very much so on the hero's positioning.
Yeah, Boots picked up as well now by Axmo, so he should be a little bit more survivable in this lane. Only the 1 level and Blink is a pretty big cooldown at this point, but if he's able to hold on to that, spam out this Shadow Strike, should be just fine. BZZ able to pick up a Null Talisman on top of his Boots, so should be able to run away with this Shadow Strike up on him more often than not. Of course, no disables, hard disables anyways, available to M5's side, so look for BZZ to get a little more aggressive with the extra MS now.
Yeah, even though Moscow 5, they are sitting at a 2-kill lead, the CSing is going slightly better from 4 Clovers, pretty much across the board. Yol helping out big there in that Enigma jungle, and now he's looking for potentially a kill over towards mid. RP is going to be cancelled by an avalanche. It will eventually be thrown down. Yol looking for a black hole now. He will actually fail because the Skewer pushes ZXC too far back, but the Midnight Pulse will get the kill anyway. So, absolute, kind of messed up situation over in mid, but they do get the kill in the end. BZ down towards bottom is going to trade his life for the Disruptor, and now Axmo will be just fine to either back out or apply some pressure to the Ogre Magi, but not exactly the play you want to be making over in mid. Wasting 2 ultimates, I guess, well, they get the kill anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much, but bottom line, Tiny down, and it is Disruptor to trade his life for Leon down towards bottom lane. So the bottom trade for Moscow 5, that's a good one. But the mid lane, I mean, that was pretty much inevitable. Whenever you have a black hole on Enigma, he should be looking for openings like that.
Yeah, Hani got a little bit aggressive top. He's going to be able to salve up now. 6 charges over on Tron means he probably going to pop them and look to roar him up. It would have been close. But either way, Tron just going to opt to make the conservative play. He's going to back off towards base now. Send a few boars out to try and find some last hit, secure some runes as well. But yeah, bottom lane not going extremely well. Meanwhile, BZZ is going to drop again to Axmo. The tower will bring down the Queen of Pain, but no one there to soak up the experience, and Slander surviving as well. Things all the bounces kind of going Moscow 5's way in this bottom lane, and the 1 death on the Tiny, not the biggest deal considering now that Black Hole is down for such a long while, as is RP.
And also the fact that he just fell back and cleared out, well, one of the stacks. He is still holding on to that hard one for a little bit later, maybe perhaps until his Avalanche toss is maxed out. But he is farming pretty decently, and that death isn't really going to slow him down by too much. A little bit of a mistake there from Axmo, overshooting that Queen of Pain, Lina rather, just a little bit, but he's still sitting at level 5 right now. Lina is also level 5, so both these two heroes holding on to quite a bit of threat towards one another. It's really got to beat the supports that are in trouble. But up towards top, Tron, he's going to get surrounded. Yol has a nice Eidolon army right now. Midnight Pulse is down. Tron will turn around for the Roar just to save himself some HP. He has 13 stick charges, so he should be surviving right now, especially with Slander coming in. Glimpse back onto Hani, can't get that final Quill Spray out, and even if he did, I'm pretty sure that would not have been lethal. So Tron going to walk away, and, well, it forces out a TP. Actually, Hani, no, Tron is still in a little bit of trouble right now. Field goes up, Hani now trapped. However, here comes Bambo from across the way. He's going to jump into a Static Storm, has a Shockwave, will connect it onto the Beastmaster, will get that kill. Hani dropping perhaps a little bit low. And no more TPs are coming in for Moscow 5, however, so this Bristleback should have a free pass out of here. Bambo, maybe not as much. He has 6 stick charges, but he doesn't have a skewer out just yet. Here comes ZXC, looking for an Avalanche Toss combo. The movement speed from the Tether, plus the Power Treads. Yeah, he'll connect it, the entire combo, on the Mag, making it a 1-for-1 trade up on the top lane. With Tiny to get those kills, I'm pretty sure that's going to be fine for Moscow 5.
Yeah, I think overall trade definitely goes their way. Nice rotation over from ZXC and Bignum. Does give a little bit of space to Yol, but he did bait out that Roar a little bit early on. If not able to do so, engagement should have gone a lot worse for 4C and L. Bambo not killing the boar off there did help the Hani get slowed and tank a couple hits, so maybe he's able to re-engage if they kill the boar off a little bit quicker. But either way, all the bounces still seem to be going M5's way at this point. BZZ's finally found a little bit of space, though, and does have the Laguna Blade, so things looking a little bit more worrisome for Slander and Axmo, being that they are both low base HP pool heroes.
Well, Axmo has gone for a Bracer and a Null Talisman to try and counteract that fact. It's ordinarily not what you see Queen of Pain's going for, well, a Bracer at all. That's pretty clear indication of a desperation build. I don't really think Axmo is in a desperate spot right now, but he just is worried about getting 100-0'd by this Lina with the help of the Ogre Magi. So a defensive build, a defensive play from Axmo, and we'll see if that actually is enough to keep him alive, because Bracer or not, there's still a hell of a lot of magic damage from 4CNL, so I don't think this Bracer is really going to save the Queen of Pain. I might be wrong, just because the math might just be working in the Queen of Pain's favor, but yeah, she's going to maybe go for the Lina. No, Glimpse is going to fail. Here comes Yol with a Black Hole and a Mechanism. This is going to be a push towards the Moscow 5 side of the map, but this is not something that 4 Clovers can do for free, because Bignum is ready with that relocate.
Yeah, nice play by Axmo there. He doesn't jump forward, maybe hinting at that he was anticipating that BZZ was a trap, and Yol was setting a trap there, but no blink available to him, and the Queen of Pain doesn't expend hers, meaning Yol can't really close the gap there. So they will commence the push, but meanwhile, simultaneously top lane is being pushed in. Hani pretty well suited to deal with this, but Go Black deep behind enemy lines with his Invis Rune is going to find Slander into the LSA. Dragon Slave, and one more right click. He's dead. Easy kill going the way of the Radiant.
And up towards top, there was a relocate up there. That's why the IO and Tiny were there. But they couldn't get the Roar off on the Bristleback in time, and a TP from the Enigma forced them all back. So nice, smooth play from 4CNL. Hani just falling back, not really that hard of a play to make, but doing it at the right time and disengaging away from Moscow 5. So it's Disruptor to fall, Tower to fall as well. The Enigma working with maxed out Eidolons is going to be a pushing powerhouse right now. Axmo trying to go for that deny will not be punished for it. But still it's a tower in favor of the 4 Clovers side. A little bit more gold for them, and right now their net worth situation is looking pretty darn good. They have a whole block of red heroes on top of the net worth chart. Tiny's still leading, but Tiny is going to need a couple more items if he's actually going to make good on his net worth advantage.
Sexy Bambo going to pick up his blink towards that mid lane as well. Isn't the greatest timing for a mid laner. Did have that one death top. Was a little bit costly to him, but still reasonable timing on the blink. This is going to be big up against the Tiny IO combo. If they can hit an RP into a black hole or even an RP into an LSA, should spell the death of, at the very least, Bignum's Wisp.
Well, this is a dangerous situation right now for Moscow 5. They're going to have to be quick on the draw with the Static Storm. Maybe get a lucky Avalanche again to drop that RP cast. It does take a little bit to get that skill out, but for right now, 4 Clovers there. Bristleback is still more or less untouched. They're going to run Go Black into ZXC. Avalanche Toss combination going to be a little bit slow, and it's going to be a one-man RP into Bignum. Now that the Static Storm goes up, but Bambo's going to disengage cleanly from that one. Black Hole onto new player, as well as one other. They will glimpse back Yol, and someone actually got relocated out. No, Bignum, just a short relocate out. Not going to put him into a great situation, though. Here comes Tron with the Roar, so he'll try to force back BZZ, but he's going to take a lot of damage in the process. Shockwave and the Skewer. Tron going to die immediately, along with that IO and Beastmaster. Axmo and Slander not willing to continue that fight, and 4 Clovers, absolutely clean house, even though the RP was kind of mediocre, especially with that Blink Dagger. That was still a surprise. Yol's Black Hole, that was just enough for 4 Clovers to clean up.
Yeah, despite it only being the one target on the RP, they do bring him down pretty quickly thereafter, and it was ZXC's Tiny, so takes away a lot of the damage from M5's lineup. Big Sonic Wave comes through from Axmo, but that setup after on the relocate back in was just beautiful by BZZ and his crew. LSA landing right away. Nice Blink Skewer as well by Bambo onto 2, and they blow them up pretty nicely. So yeah, a little interesting that M5 walks in the Beastmaster but doesn't commit the Queen of Pain and kind of just leaves Tron out to dry with Bignum there. So for CNL, good coordination. They take a nice engagement going their way, and now things looking pretty darn good for them. ZXC pretty much the only worry at this point.
And this is the advantage of Force CNL right now. With their team fighting power, even if they don't have a Black Hole, they will most of the time have an RP up, a lower cooldown there, and they will also have that mech available, now a Vanguard on the Bristleback. If Force CNL want to go for straight up pushes, like in this mid lane, they could probably get away with it, because Moscow 5, they don't really have any items that will help them team fight any better in the future. Really, their heroes, what you see is what you get. ZXC is going to go for the Aghanim Scepter, and that's what Moscow 5 are really waiting for this Tiny to get to a late game state where him and Bignum are just going to be able to, 2v5 the 4 Clovers side. That's not always going to happen, but for Moscow 5, they can't really afford to get into a massive team fight right now. So far, it just has not been working out for them. So they need ZXC to get more farm, but I don't really know if he's getting enough farm to counteract the farm that's coming up on 4 Clovers, especially Hani, who's been playing a pretty much hands-off role in this game, yet is still a sizable threat from 4 Clovers.
Axwell gonna go for an early Aghanims. Glimpse back onto Bambo after the Skewer, but wasn't far back enough, and he's gonna be just fine to walk up the hill to safety. Early Aghanims for the Queen of Pain gonna come out here. I'm not sure how effective this item is going to be up against what is a decently tanky lineup from 4CNL. Of course, we'll allow her to blow up the Lina, but felt like the Orchid may have been a little bit more effective in this one. The one problem I would assume is that there are just so many targets that really garner a silence at this point in the game. Pretty much everyone except the Bristleback on 4CNL has some really dangerous spells. Bignum may get caught out here bottom, but he does pop the invisibility rune, which is always hard to tell on an IO, and will be able to make it back to safety.
It actually looks exactly the same. So yeah, he had that one in the bottle. He relocated the Tiny out from bottom lane. Moscow 5 just cannot afford to lose their Tiny at this stage. If they do, well, it's going to slow them down by quite a bit and open the door for 4 Clovers to make a dangerous push really wherever they want. They're going to go towards top lane Moscow 5 to take out a tier 1 tower, but of course this is going to free up the Roshan pit to be cleared out by 4CNL. This is completely spotted by the Beastmaster's Hawk, but with the Eidolon army and Hani offering a little bit of minus armor, BZZ also doing sizable damage. This Roshan is going to fall free, and now Bristleback is going to grab an Aegis. Empower is up, level 1 only, however, but this Bristleback, he is tanky, and he can dive in head first and get a whole bunch of kills and will not really be sufficiently punished for Moscow 5. So 4 Clovers with this Aegis should be looking for a whole slew of tower pushing. As long as they have their Black Hole and RP available, they will be willing to push, and even then, even if they use their RP and Black Holes, they should be getting kills first of all, so they could push off of that. But also, they are powerful enough to win a fight without their ultimates at this point.
Yeah, and with 5 stacks of Warpath up, Hani was hitting for about 250 of pop, with the Bloodlust activated as well as that Empower. So he's looking very scary at this point. Vanguard early on, pretty damn effective item considering that he had free farm. He's going to have that Aegis. ZXC going to look to continue this push top lane, but there are going to be rotations over from the Radiant side. Bambo has the RP available. The relocate save is being queued up now by Bignum, but he's going to be RP'd. Nice play by Bambo into 2-man Black Hole. The Shockwave is there as well, and Axmo just going to sit and watch as his teammates die. The Avatos combo will get off as a glancing blow, but ZXC gonna go down nonetheless. Smart play by Bambo, finding the Wisp there, knowing he must have been nearby, and he's able to cancel up that relocate.
Man, that's such a narrow timing also. You don't have much time to actually make that play, and I don't believe they actually saw the IO. They just, kind of knew that the IO was going to be there. So it was a really nice heads-up play from the combination of Yol as well as Bambo. Get two free kills, and Tiny did end up going down. He didn't lose that much gold. He has bought out 2, or I guess 3 portions of his Aghanim Scepter right now, so he's not too far away from that. But for Clovers, they've taken down the mid tier 1 tower. They still have the Aegis on the Bristleback, and again, they're powerful enough to go for tier 2s at this point, even without their RP and Black Hole, as long as they have the Enigma there with the mech. So for Moscow 5, I mean, they are pretty much on the full defensive right now. They could occasionally find kills with an Avatos combo from ZXC, and of course Axmo is still working with a decent amount of damage. But as far as the team fight is concerned, unless they have a Miracle Avalanche and 3-4 man Static Storm, the disadvantage is mounting up for Moscow 5, and they really need to hope that this tiny late game is going to be enough. But even then, it's not going to clearly be enough, just because 4 Clovers have so much control that ignores BKB.
Yeah, they're already building into the Aghanims for BZZ. They've got the Yules up on him too. The offensive capability right now is almost peaking for 4CNL. They've got the 2 mobility items up onto Sec, Bambo's Magnus in the Blink and the Force. And I'm interested to see the offensive capability of the Force staff in this one. You bring any of the Queen of Pain Disruptor or IO out of the grasp of her teammates, and they can be bursted down very quickly with all this magic damage, and even some of the damage from Hani that he's outputting at this point. So Age is still available for 2 minutes for the Dire side, and maybe they mount up a push towards bot lane. They're at least going to throw BZZ down here with the Yules, and this could be a scary time for Axmo to be down here. He is a little bit tankier though, with the point booster up on top of that Null Talisman. Does have 3 components of his Aghanims as well as ZXC does.
I think all things considered, for Moscow 5, they should be considered pretty lucky right now. 4 Clovers didn't really do that much with this Aegis. Like, they're still farming up on Hani, and with the Empower, yeah, you can get a hell of a lot of farm on Bristleback, but you have this Aegis to work with. They had maybe a little bit of time where RP was not available to them, but it has been up since they used it up towards top lane. So Moscow 5, they got a lot of free time to, hold on to the map control that they had. And well, they're going to actually catch BZZ on the retreat. Roar is there. Sonic Wave available, but unnecessary. They'll catch BZZ off guard, and they'll take down the Lina. But yeah, for 4 Clovers, I would expect them to be clearing out, at the very least, this top tier 1 within the duration of the Aegis. They will eventually mobilize for that one, but tier 1s should all be down, even a tier 2 at this point with their advantage that they have right now. Maybe it just seems like 4 Clovers, at least to them, maybe they don't know that they're as far ahead as they actually are.
Yeah, well, with items like Vanguard and the Mechanism, those that are going to get less and less effective as the game goes on, you definitely want to take advantage of an early Aegis, and there's only about 40 seconds left on that. They will, as you mentioned, finally convene in the top lane to take that tower down. Hani, though, is going to find ZXC trying to farm Ancients, and the rest of his lineup is coming through. Force forward from Bambo, Blink, RP onto 2, Shockwave, skewer back through the kinetic field. And ZXC now going to be falling as well. Bambo beasting on this Magnus, and the Force Staff gives him just enough range of initiation to jump in for that one.
Well, fortunately for the Tiny, he already cleared out the vast majority of those Ancients, so he didn't lose that much as far as how bad that could have been. They still have a little bit of Aegis time on the Bristleback, although not much, with the Eidolons having been summoned and then having been destroyed by Sonic Wave. It looks like 4 Clovers instead will have to back off. They will get a full mana restore from the Bristleback. Bambo has no RP, so though he is in a fantastic position right now, even with a double damage rune, this tower push is not going to be super threatening for Moscow 5, since just 10 seconds is all they have to wait until they can mount some sort of defense with their full 5-man team, as long as they don't get skewered in. And Axmo's in a bad position for that. They're going to throw axes, blink forward, onto Tron, all the way down. He's going to get glimpse back Bambo, but he secures the kill for his team. That was, quite frankly, an amazing Magnus play. I thought he was just going to go for Axmo. He's very close, but no, he Force Staffs down, then blinks over, and then gets the skewer out. That's such a non-intuitive path, but it works out so well. Now the Black Hole into ZXC solo. Vadom's going to try to yank him out, but it's going to be a little bit too late. He gets caught in the Black Hole as well, so the relocate fails, and ZXC is going to die. Gets a toss out on Yol, but with BKB, he's going to be A-OK. Glimpse back onto Bambo. Scream of Pain, not quite going to do it. New player does not have another Sonic Wave. 4 Clovers, they trade their Lina for 2 kills, plus they take that tier 2 tower, and they should be able to back off without losing anyone else. 4 Clovers getting so far ahead in this game.
Yol with a BKB out of absolute nowhere. Easy Black EXC and no relocate save in sight for 4CNL. Bambo has been playing out of his mind on this Magnus. Taking out the Roar early on means that Yol gets off an easy black hole. Of course, the Roar still piercing through BKB with a pretty long range is a scary counter initiation tool available to M5. So eliminating that, Yol knows he can walk straight into the lineup of M5, not worried about taking too much damage with that BKB up. And if he gets the Tiny in the black hole with the toss down, nothing able, and the Beastmaster dead, nothing able to cancel that. So well played all around and some great coordination from 4CNL.
And it's the Magnus that's been the driving force. Every single time RP has been used, it's been getting the team so many kills, and soon enough, Hani is going to start building into some more threat right now. Has Crimson and Vlad, so a fairly defensive-oriented build from Hani, and, well, he is still doing damage because, of course, Warpath, Bloodlust, and Empower, but once he grabs an aggressive item, it's going to be a lot more dangerous for Moscow 5. Top lane Queen of Pain is barely going to get out. Bambo deciding not to go for a Blink Skewer RP there. No, that probably could have been a kill, but maybe just not going to risk it. He's going to actually save his RP for 2. They're going to catch them both, skewer them back. However, only Gold Black's here. They'll try to go for ZXC. Bignum is going to be focused down as well. Avatos and Bambo force that forward, trying to take down the IO. They will in the that wasn't the base. He just on the top lane. So it's a free escape there for the Tiny, I suppose. But these RPs are constantly delivering. That one perhaps a little bit weaker because there was not that much backup there. But still, they're making sure that Moscow 5 are scared whenever they leave the map, and it's working out pretty darn well so far. 10-17 and 4 Clovers. They're just going to bide their time, farm up Hani, and just wait for an extra Roshan. Don't know when that's going to be, haven't been paying attention, but it's a very short one for 4 Clovers. Very lucky Roshan respawn time for them.
Yeah, without having the Wisp there, the pit fight's a little bit weaker for 4CNL. Bignum will respawn here very shortly, but this probably will be scouted out sometime soon by the Radiant side. The Hawk is there to the east of the pit, already taking a look at that. Goldblack going to do some dewarding and needs to be a bit careful. He's so close to a full Aghanims, which is going to be a great item for him. Already sitting on that level 11, 400 gold away from that. So the IO kill there just recently pole vaulting him up towards that 4th component. And now things looking very good for 4CNL. The Blink can be picked up here shortly from Yol as well if he brings down a creep or two. So that could be a scary item in 4CNL's favor on top of that Aghanims.
They have the Aghanims coming up on that Ogre Magi. Also almost up on Lina, only 700 gold away from that one. And they have a Shadow Blade up on Bambo. So if he was struggling to land RPs before, which he wasn't, he definitely won't be now. This will be a surprise at the very least for ZXC. There's a Yule Scepter into an LSA combo. Glimpse back onto Lina, Laguna Blade from downtown. They do get the relocate out. So Tiny's going to be just fine. But the IO is probably going to die right now. This time he does not have an Invis rune to save him. And LSA, let's see how properly timed it's going to be. More or less perfect from BZZ. They'll kill off the IO. Not the target they wanted, but a target nonetheless. And in exchange, Moscow 5, maybe they get this top lane tier 2. Axmo doing his best to shove that one out. But there are heroes coming in, and they're coming in hot. There is an RP right now, and Axmo will have to bail out this tower. Deniable, and that will be denied. Lina's going to crush that one, and at the meantime, bottom lane, Yol and Hani just by themselves, they will take down a tier 2 tower. So over the past couple of minutes, just the 1 or 2 minutes, it's been a huge amount of gold swing in favor of 4CNL. And down towards bottom lane, they're looking for a black hole. ZXC, Tron, a little trouble. Roar will slow down Yol and stall out his BKB usage. So it's going to help Moscow 5 disengage. BKB being traded for the Roar, less than ideal for this Enigma, but they do still have the black hole. They do still have the RP, so they can go for a little bit more and try to take Rax's right now.
Yeah, they're going to jump Hani up onto the high ground. He's a bit low on mana. Does have the Halberd available to him, though, so that's going to deny a lot of the damage from M5 if he can get this up onto the Tiny. The Sonic Wave will be there, though, is a short cooldown just to clean up the wave for now, so that is going to force 4CNL out. Perhaps they wait for Yol's BKB here. 35 seconds on the sideline. Did use that 9-second charge there before getting roared, but either way, Hani's so tanky at this point early on. 2k health on top of the evasion from the Halberd, is not too worried about being engaged upon. So much counter initiation available to this side, and that kill, although seemingly not the biggest deal mid lane on Bignum's IO, is going to give the full Aghanims to Lina. So BZZ looking very strong right now. Doesn't have anywhere near that level 16 yet, but already doing that 675 pure damage through BKB is going to help a lot for 4CNL.
Yeah, BZZ has not had the best game as far as Lenas are concerned, but still, she is more or less where she wants to be in the gold department, a little bit less so in the experience, but hell, taking this Roshan out almost for free, probably for free, is going to help them out in quite a large fashion. They don't have any Eidolons here, and they don't have any way of creating Eidolons, so it's not going to be as fast as it possibly can be. This is going to let Moscow 5 apply a little bit of pressure up towards top lane, but marginal tower damage, if any, that Axmo can provide. So Yo will go back and defend that. He is a little bit vulnerable here. However, Tiny with no Blink Dagger means that the Enigma is going to stay safe. So nothing in exchange for this Roshan for 4 Clovers, and this is the second Roshan, so no cheese just yet, but still, Hani or Ogre trying to grab the Aegis. It's going to be the Bristleback, and they actually land another 2-man RP onto Big Dumb and ZXC, same exact position as before. They're going to crush through the IO, now going to go for this tiny skewer forward. Eulscepter will dodge that. BZZ going to get killed off by a new player in response. Craggy exterior, going to save the Tiny, and then the toss forward. He's going to keep surviving. Yo comes in. Midnight Pulse not quite going to do enough. 60 HP, the Tiny gets to live, and he will disengage cleanly. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Moscow 5, and Tiny so very lucky to get that kill. 25% chance he lives. If the mag hit him once, that would have been a kill, but he plays it very perfectly, and, well, odds favor him just a little bit.
That craggy proc, honestly. Unfortunate for Bambo, still doing so much work. Had a haste rune bottled, was able to use that Shadow Blade to get in close for an easy 2-man RP. Just not enough follow-up damage there, and Axmo being close by, able to blow up BZZ, so a little bit of lack of damage to bring down ZXC after blowing up Bignum's IO. Either way, they still secure the Roshan, and save their high ground from being chipped away at. So still looking very good for 4CNL. A little bit of an unfortunate turn for them, though. ZXC's been able to slither his way out of a lot of these engagements. Still has died 5 times though on the Tiny, and it's certainly not ideal for M5's side. It looks like he'll build into an AC. Can pick up the Hyperstone now.
He's actually pretty close to that Assault Cuirass. He has no Ancient stacks, but he is approaching that Assault Cuirass mark, and Tiny is getting, well, a decent amount of farm now. Bristleback's still leading, as to be expected from 4 Clovers, but everyone else starting to slow down on their gold. It's, again, not really a huge deal for 4CNL, since, well, they have RP, they have Black Hole. These are gold-independent skills that will just completely crush the enemy side, regardless of the farm state of those 2 heroes, so it's not really the worst thing, and they are doing their best to shut down the Tiny, but it is so difficult to shut down a Tiny completely, because he is working with that Aghanim Scepter and has been working with it for quite a long time. And also the split push from Moscow 5 has been keeping the 4 Clover side more or less on the dire side of the map. Axmo is the hero to thank for that one, so they're shoving the waves as much as possible and making sure this Tiny actually has some space to get his farm up. They're buying a lot of time because of it.
Yeah, Go Black, unfortunately, hasn't been involved in the last couple of engagements for 4CNL as well, so when he's able to do so, having the unrefined Fire Blast there means they won't have to expend things like the Laguna Blade onto Bignum's Wisp, and they probably can blow him up reliably without having to do so. Therefore, a little bit more damage going ZXC's way means he probably doesn't survive most of these engagements, barring a very nice static storm coming out from Slander. So it's going to be on the Disruptor to keep his Tiny up, but other than that, I really do favor 4CL's ability to win these 5-on-5 engagements, and already we're going to see M5 group up in the top lane, look to do a little bit of pushing in of this lane. They need to certainly be careful with this RP up for Bambo again. Gem as well, purchased by Gold Black, so going to start to deny up some information from M5 side.
Well, Bignum is currently hidden. He's going to get the relocate onto ZXC. Very premature play perhaps from the IO, but a very safe play, let's say. IO is going to return, and he's definitely going to die right now. Has nothing to tether to, so IO sacrificial lamb right now so that the Tiny may live. That's just the life of an IO, and he is going to die, but they save ZXC and they secure the Assault Cuirass, and still these plays are stalling out for the Moscow 5 side to get ZXC farm to delay this Aegis, which so far again from 4 Clovers has not really done anything for them because of the amount of split push that Moscow 5 are applying. Just looking at the Moscow 5 draft, you wouldn't really peg their team as like a super split pushy team, like there's no Lycan or Broodmother or anything like that, but they're making it work and they're getting a lot of time because of it. But it looks like the split push has momentarily ceased, and just like that, 4 Clovers are going to mobilize in the mid lane and look for some objectives. They still have that Black Hole and they still have that RP, but the Sonic Wave out from Axmo, and suddenly there's no creep wave. Backdoor protection not going to kick in just yet, but I don't think Hani can actually tank this tower, unless he's just going to man up and tank the tower. Okay, I guess he still just has the Aegis, so he might as well. Fortify is there. That'll force Hani to back off, and it should kick this backdoor protection into gear. There it is. So this tower is fine for a little while longer. They have another Sonic Wave in 20 seconds, and 4 Clovers are losing their bottom lane in the meantime. ZXC can take down a tier 2 tower for free and then TP back in to the mid lane. Then 4 Clovers, if they don't take a nice team fight right now, that could be really bad for them in the long run. Hani gonna get dropped pretty low, but it's not gonna kill him off. He still has the Aegis, even if he was to die once. They get the double Fire Blast onto ZXC. RP in the back, gonna catch Slander, and he's gonna be dragged in. No Static Storm for him, and Tiny's forced to buy back right now. Necro units on the floor, gonna burn out the rest of Hani's mana, and he will go down right now after having killed off the melee Necro unit. But that's what the Aegis is for, and it was gonna time out soon anyway. Bignum, he's going to rejoin as ZXC. He's going to have to post up on the high ground, but the push is continuing for 4CNL and Moscow 5. They're running out of resources right now, especially if they lose this Queen of Pain. BKB up from new player, looking for a Sonic Wave angle, but can't quite get it. There's the blink forward from Yul, looking for the black hole. Won't quite find that one either. Doesn't really want to use it just on ZXC, but they will kill off the Tiny nonetheless. Sonic Wave through absolutely everyone. Now black hole, going to be used just on Tron, but it's fine anyway because there's the Midnight Pulse, and they will kill off that Beastmaster after having killed off the Tiny twice. Beastmaster is going to return. Queen of Pain not too healthy either. 4CNL still just trucking with this push, and it looks like they're going to take range racks at the very least.
4CNL so coordinated, so patient on Yul. Of course, they don't get the most flashy black hole off, but they know, oh, Hani going to get roared up here, and the Static Storm will probably secure his death. He does get glimpsed back into it. Melee Rack still actually standing for the Radiant side, but already expending a couple of their buybacks, Beastmaster and Tiny. It's going to be a very costly defense for them. Sonic Wave going to be just a moment too short to bring down Gold Black as well. Was just going to say they're so smart about knowing the linchpins of Moscow 5's lineup and exactly what they need to engage off the back of. Jump forward skewer from Sexy Bamboo eliminates the disruptor. As I mentioned earlier, they're able to use the Laguna Blade onto ZXC because they can blow up Bignum without it, and also that black hole denying the roar up from Tron for Yul there secures a very good engagement. And now jumping forward mid lane overzealously perhaps is the side of Moscow 5 trying to find something off the back of those buybacks. They're going to feed over Slander for it. Force forward RP coming out from Sexy Bamboo, and there's no roar available to Tron. Even if there was, why would he use it? Double kill going BZZ's way, and now no buyback available. Relocate mid though. They're going to take out BZZ. New player going to jump in as well with the BKB, but no mana left on this Queen of Pain. Gold Black is going to be pincered into the trees. Going to try and walk out, but will probably fall here. And now 3 down on 4CNL side, but Hani going to respawn now. BZZ has buyback available as well, so Moscow 5 certainly need to be careful here. They do find a couple of return kills and a tier 1 going their way, but still, all things considered, 4CNL looking very good at this point.
Yeah, and the buyback having been spent there from Tiny is going to slow down his item progression by so much. Already Moscow 5 are kind of just stalling out for a late game Tiny, but that late game Tiny now is going to come a lot later than it ordinarily would. Yeah, they get a couple kills over in the mid lane, but Lina and the Ogre Magi, for 4 Clovers, they're completely okay with losing those heroes. Hell, they're okay with losing any hero at this point, since Bristleback, I mean, he's important for the team, but they can get a decent fight even without that hero being alive. And they know that Moscow 5, though they're powerful right now with this Tiny, with Stalker completed, they aren't going to be able to destroy the 4 Clovers base that quickly. Like, it'll be fast, but it won't be that fast. So 4 Clovers, they will just simply respawn Bamboo. Shadowbladed up once again, was previously spotted by the random Necro pop of Tron, but this time Tron's on the bottom lane, and they will jump in for the Sheepstick onto Yul. Toss, Sonic Wave will connect, but Yul will mech up and he'll be just fine. Looks like that was just Avalanche. ZXC could not get close enough for the toss, and after seeing Bamboo, they will back off once again. Enigma gets to live, but we see a smoke up now. Slander and Tron. Not really the combination you would expect, but with an IO to relocate in, if they do find someone, they probably can get that kill, and that someone is Hani. That's a tough kill if they even attempt to go for it, and it looks like they won't actually see the bristles, so no smoke kill just yet, and it most likely will not result into a smoke kill at all.
Yeah, I feel like 4CNL can go right back up high ground here. They'll probably end up waiting for Roshan. Reaver picked up onto Hani, being that he was able to naturally respawn without any structural damage taken. And this Halberd in these 5-on-5 engagements is still going to do a lot of work. Relocate bottom, though, is going to find out Gold Black with Tron. Avatos will be there. The Roar even going to be expended as well. Hani going to jump in, looking to find Bignum. Big right clicks coming out from the Bristle, and he'll bring him down before the Glimpse, which kind of keeps him safe at the end of things. And the Yule's up onto ZXC, into the LSA and the Laguna Blade. You're going to be there for good measure, not going to need to expend that black hole. And after the relocate from M5, they lose their tiny IO combo just for Gold Black's Ogre, and now certainly we can see the Dire side look to go high ground.
And this mid lane Raxes, that's going to die at the very least, but also bottom lane is pretty much pushed into the Radiant side of the map, so it is possibly going to be 2 Raxes. Tiny has no buyback, he has the gold, but he does not have it on timer right now, and still 4 Clovers are working with both RP and Black Hole. They can throw both of those skills on one target apiece, and they can still come ahead with the victory right now, as Hani's going to go down towards bottom. Sexy Bambo and BZZ are going to finish up mid lane. There's a Sheepstick on the Bristleback, but he has a Reaver. He doesn't care, especially when he's going to get mech'd up and has a heart delivered to him. This guy has 3,500 HP with 12 armor. How are you supposed to kill off this Bristleback if you're Moscow 5? Like, even the Ogre Magi was living for a lot longer than I really thought up against the Tiny. They're going to catch a new player with the LSA. They'll kill him off in a hurry. Bristleback going to snag that one. The Static Storm is going to zone out Yul from the rest of his side, but he has a BKB and Black Hole. He's completely fine with being here. RP in the back line onto 2. They're going to steer him away from the Black Hole. Perhaps a little bit awkward, but they're going to die nonetheless in a full team wipe for Clovers. And it looks like we are, guys, going to a Game 3. A dominant display from the 4 Clovers and Lepricon.
Yeah, just excellent coordination from them all game. It seems like everyone knew their assignment there. Everyone had a certain hero or certain ability to remove from Moscow 5's toolkit, and they did it almost flawlessly, I want to say, all game long. Anytime ZXC and his IO were able to take kills, it felt like it was just off the back of very costly losses in these engagements for Moscow 5. So well drafted overall by 4CNL, and even better play.
Alright guys, this is going to mean that the series, now tied up 1-1, is going to be going to a Game 3. Our schedule is going to be messed up, but it's always messed up, so you shouldn't really be too surprised at this point. I'm Mikelorus, I've been joined by MRP, and we'll be right back, guys, for the third and final game between 4 Clovers and a Moscow 5. Don't go anywhere.